Rock's explosive evolution in the 70s defined a generation forever.
They weren't just the soundtrack to a decade.
All the years, so many ways to count the tears. I'll never change, I never will.
The 1970s, that turbulent 10-year stretch of shifting politics, oil crises, and polyester suits, also gave us the most thrilling, extravagant, and inventive music rock had yet produced. It was the era when the genre evolved into something cinematic, international, and transcendent. From stadium-filling riffs to introspective ballads, the 70s belonged to rock, and rock belonged to these 10 bands. This isn't just about who sold the most records, nor is it simply a tally of screaming crowds or surviving band members. This is about who defined a generation, musically, culturally, and emotionally. Here's the top 10, counted down. Lynyrd Skynyrd were more than a band. They were a declaration of identity. Formed in Jacksonville, Florida, they merged blues, country, and rock and roll into a greasy, swaggering concoction that felt unmistakably American. But their reach extended well beyond the southern states. Their debut album, featuring Freebird, established them as a live powerhouse. With its aching slide guitars and extended solos, the song became a staple of American youth. "We didn't think it was going to be that big," guitarist Gary Rossington later said. "We were just jamming." By the late 70s, with multiple gold albums and sellout crowds, the band were flying high.
The Lynyrd Skynyrd Band was riding high. They had just released a new album, Street Survivors, and set out on a 5-month cross-country tour to promote it. They were on their way to a concert at Louisiana State University when disaster happened.
Tragedy struck when their plane crashed en route to Baton Rouge, killing frontman Ronnie Van Zant, along with guitarist Steve Gaines and his older sister and backup singer Cassie.
The Convair 240 is in a glide, 100 yards short of the pasture. The wings are clipping treetops. The plane stalls and goes down.
"We were on top of the world," recalled drummer Artemis Pyle. "Then everything stopped." Yet their legacy endures. Their cultural impact lies not only in their music, but in their role as chroniclers of a particular worldview, rebellious, fatalistic, proud. As author Mark Kemp wrote, "They weren't just playing rock, they were playing their lives." Rush were outliers. 3 Canadians, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, Neil Peart, who rejected fame's trappings in favour of relentless innovation. They weren't fashionable, but they were fiercely original. Their music, intricate and cerebral, was as likely to explore philosophy as fantasy. Their breakthrough came with a sci-fi-infused suite that stretched across an entire album side. "It was make or break," said Peart. "We were told to write something commercial. We didn't." Instead, they wrote something extraordinary. What followed was a run of albums that pushed rock's boundaries. Concerts were feats of stamina and musicianship, played to growing legions of devoted fans. By the end of the decade, they had played over 400 shows and sold millions of records. Despite limited radio play and little critical support at the time, Rush inspired generations of musicians. Dave Grohl called them the most underrated band in rock history, while Metallica's Kirk Hammett described their work as blueprints. Their cultural legacy lies in their refusal to compromise. As Peart once said, "We're stubborn. We follow our own path, and that's the only way we know." Aerosmith were the American answer to the British rock invasion. Formed in Boston in the early 70s, they started as Rolling Stones devotees and ended the decade as bona fide arena legends. With Steven Tyler's serpentine vocals and Joe Perry's keening guitar lines, they embodied the swagger and sleaze of hard rock. Their golden run produced a string of hits that remain ubiquitous: Sweet Emotion, Walk This Way, Dream On. It was chaos, but beautiful chaos, said Tyler. Every night felt like the end of the world. Touring was constant, crowds massive, excess legendary. Dubbed the Toxic Twins, Tyler and Perry indulged every cliché, and their combustible chemistry nearly destroyed them. Yet through it all, Aerosmith never lost their instinct for showmanship. Their blend of blues, glam, and garage rock redefined what it meant to be American rock stars. As Perry once put it, we weren't trying to be cool, we just were. Few bands have ever sounded more elemental than AC/DC. Riffs carved from granite, drums that thundered like cannons, lyrics that celebrated life's rudest joys. They weren't poets, they were power incarnate. Formed in Sydney in the early 70s, the group built their sound on Angus Young's schoolboy uniformed solos and Bon Scott's loutish charisma. Their rise was relentless, fueled by albums like High Voltage, Let There Be Rock, and Highway to Hell. We weren't trying to reinvent the wheel, said Young, just make it spin faster. They were road warriors, playing everywhere from biker dives to burgeoning arenas. By the end of the decade, they had sold over 20 million albums and conquered America.
Bon Scott was discovered last night in the car. Scotland Yard spokesman said specifically that there were no suspicious circumstances surrounding Bon Scott's death.
Tragedy struck when Scott died after a night of heavy drinking. It broke us, said bass player Cliff Williams, but we knew he'd want us to keep going. What followed, with Brian Johnson stepping in, would be one of rock's greatest comebacks. But it was the 70s that shaped them. Their impact, limitless. AC/DC taught us that simplicity can be godlike, said the Foo Fighters' Dave Grohl. You don't need 10 chords, you just need one that sounds like the world ending. The Who began the 70s as counterculture titans and ended them as rock's elder statesmen. Between, they created some of the decade's most ambitious and incendiary work. Pete Townshend's writing grew more introspective, while their live shows remained volcanic. After the success of Tommy, they entered the decade with Live at Leeds, widely regarded as the best live album ever, and followed with Who's Next, an album born from the failed Lifehouse project, yet bursting with triumphs like Baba O'Reilly and Behind Blue Eyes.
I don't need to fight to prove I'm right.
I wanted to make music that sounded like a battle, said Townsend. And they did. Keith Moon's anarchic drumming, Roger Daltrey's gale force vocals, John Entwistle's nimble bass, all held together by Townsend's cerebral fury. Their rock opera Quadrophenia explored youth alienation with stunning complexity. It was about what it felt like to not fit in, said Daltrey, and I think that's why people still feel it. Concerts became both ritual and riot. They were one of the first to play stadium tours, drawing tens of thousands. Yet beneath the chaos lay profound artistry. As Bono later observed, they were punk before punk, emotion and intelligence in the same blast. Fleetwood Mac were a band in perpetual reinvention. From their roots as a British blues outfit to the sleek transatlantic juggernaut of the mid-70s, they weathered chaos with astonishing grace. When Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined in the middle of the decade, something alchemical happened. The eponymous Fleetwood Mac album was a smash. But it was rumours that made them immortal, a melodious autopsy of failed relationships laid bare in song. People forget how insane it was, said Nicks. We were breaking up, getting back together, falling apart, and somehow recording this beautiful record. Selling tens of millions of copies, rumours turned their pain into platinum. Songs like Go Your Own Way, Dreams, and The Chain became anthems of emotional conflict. It was truth, said Buckingham, and truth sells. Their live shows, though less raucous than some peers, drew enormous crowds. They exuded class, mystery, and vulnerability, a soft power storm in a decade of brashness. Their cultural impact lies in their honesty. They made adult emotions feel epic, yet intimate. And in doing so, they redefined what rock could be. Queen were never understated. From the moment Freddie Mercury strutted onto the stage, the ordinary dissolved. What followed was a kind of operatic rock, daring and unapologetically grand. Their ascent was meteoric. Albums like Sheer Heart Attack, A Night at the Opera, and News of the World combined razor-sharp musicianship with Mercury's magnetic presence. We wanted to blend Mozart and Hendrix, Mercury once said. Why not? Bohemian Rhapsody broke every rule and triumphed.
Easy come, easy go, will you let me go?
Bismillah, no, we will not let you.
A 6-minute epic with no chorus, an opera section, and a headbanging climax, it became a global phenomenon. Brian May's guitar work was as distinctive as a fingerprint. Roger Taylor and John Deacon provided a rhythmic spine to Mercury's exuberant flights. Their concerts were theatrical ceremonies. You'd think it was Shakespeare if Shakespeare wore leather trousers, said Taylor. Nebworth, Madison Square Garden, Budokan, all conquered. Queen's legacy? They made the ridiculous sublime. As May once said, we took music seriously, but never ourselves. By the 70s, the Stones were no longer upstarts. They were emperors of excess. Yet somehow, in the face of fame, scandal, and changing tastes, they continued to matter, and matter enormously. From Sticky Fingers to Exile on Main Street, they delivered some of their most enduring work. We were firing on all cylinders, said Keith Richards. Coked out, maybe, but on fire. Their tour of the Americas was a travelling circus. At Nebworth, they played to over 200,000. It was biblical, said Ronnie Wood. People climbed trees to see us. And yet, behind the swagger lay craft. Angie, Beast of Burden, Wild Horses, songs of surprising tenderness. Jagger remained the consummate frontman, a blur of hips and hostility. The Stones influenced everything, from attitude to aesthetics. They embodied survival, grit, and reinvention. As Richards once mused, we never went away. We just kept showing up. Pink Floyd didn't just play music, they created worlds. At their core was a quiet ambition to do more than entertain. They wanted to provoke, to challenge, to unnerve. The Dark Side of the Moon spent hundreds of weeks on the charts. Wish You Were Here paid haunting tribute to absent founder Syd Barrett. Animals and the Wall explored class, isolation, and authoritarianism. We were trying to hold up a mirror, said Roger Waters, and sometimes the reflection wasn't pretty. Their shows became legend. Immense props, flying pigs, walls constructed on stage. Audiences didn't just watch, they experienced. Though often called cold or distant, their music revealed deep empathy. David Gilmour's solos were liquid melancholy. He doesn't just play notes, said Queen's Brian May, he plays meaning. Pink Floyd made introspection epic. They reminded the world that rock could be art, and art that sold, with album sales counted in the hundreds of millions.
The name of the group, Led Zeppelin. They've been around for years, popular with the acid rock crowd, big on album sales. Tonight they broke the world record set by the Beatles.
At the summit stand, Led Zeppelin. No band dominated the 70s more completely. Commercially, sonically, spiritually, they were the apex. Their statistics are staggering. Hundreds of millions of albums sold, including the immortal fourth album, featuring Stairway to Heaven.
That soon, if we all call a tune, then the piper will lead us to.
They broke concert attendance records, including a crowd of over 76,000 in Michigan. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Zeppelin were an atmosphere. Jimmy Page's guitar wizardry, Robert Plant's golden howl, John Paul Jones's versatility, and John Bonham's seismic drumming fused into a sound both primal and mystical. "We weren't just playing songs," said Plant. "We were conjuring something." They avoided singles, rarely gave interviews, and resisted television. "We wanted the mystery," said Page. "We wanted people to come find us." And they did. Across continents and cultures, Zeppelin inspired devotion. Their songs were epic poems for the electric age. From the Tolkien-esque sweep of Ramble On to the Delta blues of When the Levee Breaks, they encompassed everything rock aspired to be. Their influence is inescapable. The Foo Fighters, Metallica, U2, even Beyoncé, all cite Zeppelin's reach. "They showed us what was possible," said Jack White, "and then some."
John Bonham, drummer with the British rock group Led Zeppelin since its inception in 1968, was found dead today at the home of a friend in Windsor, England.
They disbanded after Bonham's death, refusing to replace him. In doing so, they preserved the myth. As Plant once said, "Better to end as kings than to fade away."